Fellas, I'm going to be a dating coach for this video at least. Um, if you're seeing unsuccessful attempts at relationships, and it's been occurring throughout your dating history, and you may have sporadically found a relationship here or there, but it kind of ended for one reason or another. You're thinking you need a dating coach. Well, you just found one, and I'm gonna give you at least one perspective. There are many ways to go about, you know, increasing success rates, but they all seem to follow similar patterns. And I want you to keep in mind that the dating coach industry is about a $7.5 billion industry here in the United States, roughly about that, and about 15 billion worldwide, based on numbers from 2019. Um, so it could be a little bit more now. It might be a little less. I don't know, but you can do your own research on that. So dating coaches are out there making bank. So they rely heavily on men, and even some women hitting the wall, or women in general that have unsuccessful relationships, um, or finding a mate. So there's a lot of incentive for relationships not to really succeed on a social level in the United States. Um, you know, and we could talk about all the stuff that led to all that, but it's not relevant to this video. What's relevant is that the dating coach industry is massive. Um, the like American singles, they fuel about as of 3.2 billion as of 2020, as far as fueling the dating market itself. So, like dating sites and things like that. That's a $3.2 billion industry. So dating coaches, that industry eclipsed that to doubles it, a little over double. That's 7 point. What did I say it was? Yeah, 7.5 billion, roughly. Um, But go on there, you can look at the numbers if the numbers are really important to you. To me, it's really not. It's just like a guideline or what you'll be wasting your money on. You're going to dating coaches. I think the method that I am going to share with you today is a lot more efficient. It'll save you some money. And if it works for you, feel free to donate to me. Well, at least to the youth program that I am associated with, where I coach boxing and things like that. And I'll put a link down below, or the information where you can donate if you so desire, but it's absolutely unnecessary to do so for this information. Um, let's start with evaluating yourself. Take a step back to evaluate yourself. See what you got going for you, what you don't have going for you, things you can change and things you can't change. So if for some reason, like in your 20s and so forth, or even your mid 30s, even your 40s, you realize, you look at evaluating yourself, you're not 6 foot tall or taller. You're probably around average, which is about 5'7". This is where I am. I'm at 5'7". You're somewhere, you're under 6 foot tall. You can't change anything about your height. Maybe put on some shoes that might give you a little lift, things like that. But in general, you can't change your biology. You can't change your ethnicity, the color of your skin. And those of you trying to do that crazy stuff, you need more help than I can give. It's outside the scope of this video. You're born, like for instance, my skin color, the type of hair I have, the way I look, all that stuff. I can't change that as a man. At least realistically, unless I go do plastic surgery and stuff. But we're not dealing in that aspect of for this video. And you wouldn't want to do that stuff anyway. The cost involved with that, you could be putting that towards something else of greater interest or value. All right, so you can't really change your height. You look at your weight, you're not really in shape because you're a little overweight for your height. These are things you could change. You can't really change your age. That's gonna continue regardless if you like it or not. And then you look at your income, see what kind of money you're making. And I have notes here to reference so I stay on topic. Um, these are things you can change. If you're a little overweight, start exercising, but don't do that uh, for a relationship. You do that for your own personal health and energy and whatnot that comes with it. All right. Um, you look at your income, and if you're making less than $34,000 a year, USD, after taxes, you need to work on bringing that up. So now you've evaluated yourself, and there are way more stuff to look at, but those are the ones I'm looking at for this video to keep it short. All right, so you look at those things: height, weight, income, age, the basic things. um, and you check and see what other things you may have going on for you, which I will discuss in the next section, which would be self improvement. All right, so in self improvement, you're working on your health. You're eating right, you're exercising, you're getting back in shape and stuff for your own well being. It's really about your own well being because um, you could have all the money in the world and dying, from obesity or diabetes or whatever it is. So get in shape. Stay healthy as you can be. Don't be extreme if you don't want to be, but just get healthy. Um, the other thing you want to work on is your income, right? So if you don't have a trade, learn a trade, especially if you're in your early 20s. Do it as early as possible. You finish high school. If you're the type of person that, kind of like book smart, and college is your thing, go to college, get a degree, and get your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, your doctorate degree if you're into that. And go work in the field that you got your degree in and, make your money that way. Um, Keep in mind your goal is to make a minimum of $34,000 USD after tax a year. So work on building that. So you want to make that or more. Nowadays, depending on the field you go in, you could easily start out around $60,000 a year. After tax, it'll probably be around $45,000 a year or a little more. I'm not an accountant, so I don't know how the tax stuff work, right? So you're working on getting a degree. I go get a trade, learn electrical, plumbing. A lot of the blue collar work is highly necessary to keep the infrastructure and to keep American society running, keep America at the top, the number one, the best country on earth. We need blue collar worker, constructions, mechanic, diesel mechanic, truck drivers, oil rig, whatever it is, robotics, all the manual labor type stuff is necessary. Even some of the sciences, they need people that do like, manual labor to make some of the equipment and things that promote the successes of all the sciences and all the maths and all the everything and stem cells and all that require equipment that somebody got to build. So do not shy away from the blue collar work. Some of it pays well. Some of it don't. Even a garbage guy, a man, the garbage man, that job is very important, and you can make a decent salary, and if you had a job long enough, you could probably move up to make about $34,000 a year, at least after taxes. So those type of work, look into that and focus on those things. And of course, the big three that I always talk about, having your own place. Of course, you're having your career after you go to school or get your trade. So you're having your own career and be financially stable, which means you got to be able to manage the money you make, especially if you're making on a lower end. If you're making a minimum $34,000 a year, USD, you got to be able to manage your money effectively. Take the time to minimize your expenses. So don't try to live lavishly. If you can avoid it, avoid that stuff. Don't run up your credit card debt unless you know, like you have to do stuff with your house, which is an investment, um, things like that. But for the purposes of this video, try to keep your credit debt low, less than a third of your whatever your max credit is. You want to use a third or less to keep your credit score high. Um, then you want once you have that in place, you want to be part of the other step of investing, of money management, is investing. So you want to start investing like in the stock market, things like that. Um, the best way to start that is with like a Roth IRA. The younger you start, the more money you could put in there, that you won't have to pay taxes on when you take it out after, I think, age 59. You can do more research on that and see what the stipulations are for that. For me, it's age 59. It might be different for someone in a younger age group. I'm in my mid 40s. And then you want to like buy stocks and dividend stocks where you can get money regardless of if the stock market goes up or down, and you want to continuously feed that month in and month out. Every month you put some money consistently. I recommend around 10% of your income every month towards that or more. Say 50% of your income goes towards monthly expenses. The rest that's left over, the other 50%, 10% could be for spending like for leisure stuff, and the rest should go into investment. um, Usually stockbrokers, you could keep your money in the brokerage account. It makes a higher interest rate than you would get at a bank, but it's still liquid assets. You could transfer it to your bank account as needed, and now they have instant transfer where you pay a fee to do that if you had to need to get access to the money right away. um, so it's not like you have to wait 10 days or whatever it is to get your money, access to the money if you need it. So I always recommend people keep their money in a in that type of account, a brokerage account, and then you could tap into it from time to time to send every month, to send money to actual stock purchases, um, and let that build up. If you could get to about 40, sorry, if you could get up to like to $300,000 in the stock market, especially into dividend stocks, um, you and that will take some years if depending on how your income is. And if you're already making like $100,000 a year, that should be easy. Live like a real Spartan life and just stick that money in there. With dividend stock, you should be making between $3,000 and $4,000 a month of income, passive income, that you either reinvest or use it as your income and retire, if that's what you want to do. But retiring is boring, unless you have hobbies that can keep you occupied. Um, if you want to make a lot more than that, just put at least 500,000, build it up to 500,000, so you can have about to $10,000 a month of income coming in. Before tax, obviously. I think capital gains tax would be about 30%, 25 to 30%, but I'm sure there are ways an accountant could bend those rules, where they could put more money in your pocket. So look into that. And that should set you up on the financial side of things, and it should set you up to be disciplined as far as your growth. The place of choice, you buy a house, that's fine, or you rent if you prefer that. I personally prefer you buy a house, but that's a personal preference, but it's not necessary. You could have, if you prefer an apartment, that's fine. If you prefer a condo, that's fine too. But keep in mind, when you're paying rent, you're putting money in somebody else's pockets. You're building up somebody else's assets. I strongly recommend getting your own house and put your money into your own house and write off the interest and whatnot. But that's for a whole other video. So you have those things in place. You have your own place. You're financially stable. You have your career going. The other thing I would mention about career, in this day and age with your computer and internet and stuff like that, if you could get a remote job where you can work, do your job remotely from anywhere you want as long as you have internet access, I strongly recommend that way to go. I think the internet and that way of working is going to be the wave of the future, and more people would, more and more job opportunities will come up in that area. Obviously, there's some jobs that require you to work really boots on the ground type of thing, like the job work I do. I do therapeutic foster care, but I also coach boxing, working with at-risk youths. So I can't be on the other side of the world and coach boxing. It can be done, but it's not as natural or as efficient as being there in person to do that, or to raise kids, in therapeutic foster care. So in my case, I really can't go anywhere. But I love what I do, and you should love what you do as well. So when you do it, it's not like a chore to do it. It's not like a work. It's enjoyable. All right. So you have those things in place. Great. The next step is, what are you looking for in a relationship, in the woman you want to be with? Most men like women who are fit, feminine, friendly, young, and beautiful. And one of the characteristics of those things is also being agreeable. And there are lots more stuff you could throw in there, but that's what I've been preaching for a while: fit, feminine, friendly, young, and exotically beautiful. If you're looking for that, but you're already aware that, the United States, you're not really successful in the dating market in the United States, because, especially if you're using the dating apps and stuff. There are lots of statistics as to why all that is, and I've talked a lot about it, so it's not going to be addressed in this video. Um, One of the things I recommend is studying different cultures around the world. Israel, parts of Africa, Asia. We watch kung fu movies and stuff like that. We like samurai, and things like that. Study Japan, study Chinese culture. Sahara deserts and stuff like that. The mummies and Egyptian pyramids and Sudanese pyramids and stuff like that. If you're interested in those types of things, study some of the cultures around and see what's going on out there. Um, and then get your passport and do a little traveling, because now that your money situation is in place and your career is in place, your house is in place, do a little traveling and see the world a little, expand your horizon. Start locally, like go around different parts of the country. Probably go to like Puerto Rico, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, some of the Caribbean islands, a few cruises here and there. Do some of that, and then once you're done with that, you've engaged with various cultures, and you've seen firsthand some of the people, how they interact with you and how you interact with them. You'll get an idea what you're looking for, but as far as more specifically into the women that you're interested in. Now, if you've been able to travel like that, and personally explore these cultures, you'll probably make some friends in those areas who can probably put you on to, give you a hookup or a connection with various women that might pique your interest. If for some reason traveling really isn't your thing and you want to stay as efficient as possible, dating apps are really the wave of the future. Some of the international dating apps where you have access, where you could select profiles based on country. Go on those websites. Pay the subscription. Don't pay like the monthly subscription. Pay for a year, or a little, or if that's your max, pay for the year subscription. That way, it's efficient as far as using money. If for some reason you meet somebody, it doesn't work out, you still have time to use that subscription to find other people. So make sure you do it that way. You already have your passport, and say you meet somebody online. Now is the opportunity to Well, you meet a bunch of people. You weed out the criminals, the scammers, the fake people. You have to be smart about your shit, because you're now in the top 1% of income earners in the world, because you're making a minimum of $34,000 USD dollars a year after taxes. Especially if you're making more than that. Um, just make sure you do your due diligence. And I've done videos on due diligence, so you can look at some of that, because I don't want this video to get crazy long. It's already long as it is. So you do your due diligence, you meet that person, you study their culture, you study their language, you have a good rapport, you travel to that country after getting to know the person, their family, things like that, where things are safe. Get your own place while you're there. It's usually cheap. You rent your own place. If you could go for a month, great. That way you could really immerse yourself into the culture, into the language, the food. Spend some time with this person to see if it's something that, if it could be everything that you want it to be. Um, Once you start doing that, you realize, of course, these women are fit, feminine, friendly, young, and they're exotically beautiful. But more importantly, they were raised to be wives based on their culture, and especially in third world countries. And you must not be deterred by women in this country, or even simps in this country, bashing you for going overseas and expanding your options to the world. We are in a global economy, so it makes sense to expand yourself to the world if you're not finding what you're looking for here where you are at home, or here in the United States. So don't be ashamed by that, and you probably won't be after you've traveled and encountered and engaged with some of these women overseas. You Nothing usually what people will say bad about you or against you is really going to affect you, because those words only have power if you give it power. um, 9 times out of 10, it really has nothing constructive for you. So that is the gist of it. To summarize, you evaluate yourself, self improve, and then you figure out what you're looking for in a wife. And I already told you what you're looking for in a wife. Most men, that's what they're looking for. You don't want a combative woman to come home to. You want a woman who was raised to be a wife, that has where you want a woman where their culture is family orientation, not just chasing the bag. Um, so third world countries usually have that. Some of those countries well known, like the Philippines, Thailand, different countries in Africa, um, you know, Latin American countries, some Caribbean countries, but not so much. Um, there's a piece of advice my mother has already always given me, and it makes sense today. Is that it's best to marry a woman who you can help, rather than a woman that has everything. And she's been telling me that for years, and I never really fully understand it. And I'm sharing it with you today because I fully understand it now. American women have everything, right? Therefore, they move a certain way, they carry themselves a certain way, and it's not really family oriented. So you should never marry a woman that you can't do anything for. Marry a woman who you could help and do something for. And these women are usually in third world countries because they don't have access to the kind of money and education and all this stuff, but they are family oriented. And if you could do something for them, because they're family oriented, the dividends that you get back from that, just like any investment, is going to be significantly higher than what you put in. And just like how you're managing your money as part of your strategy for your own self and future, especially for retirement and things like that, um, the same thing, you have to look at it as a business when it comes to the money part of it, and then you get involved with like a relationship, and then you could throw in love and emotion and all that stuff. But No, according to the Bible, I think Ephesians 5:25 or 20 or 30, one of them says, talks about men is commanded to love. Men, love your wives, which means it's a command. We don't have to love emotionally. We can love um, based on command. And the woman is supposed to respect the husband. Very simple according to the Bible. You can look at more details in the Quran or Islam, or even Hinduism or Judaism. But they're all basically saying a lot of the same things. So like, subscribe if this helps you and you feel compelled to just donate some money because you just saved a lot of money from that $7.5 billion industry. um, Send it to me. I will be using it on with the youth program that I'm involved with. There's some equipment and things that I want to purchase and things that I want to improve on. um, that's separate from the actual organization itself, because we have funding that we raise, but that's used to run the program and like keep the building going and things like that. But there are things that I do out of my own pocket, like help some of the youth as they get older with getting jobs, places to live, um, you know, cars that they need to fix or to buy, help them purchase some things so they can get started in life. Um, that's what I do. I've been doing that for 16 years. So, if you think this advice is helpful, um, donate. You just save yourself a boatload of money instead of going to these dating coaches because you really don't need it. Um, by self improving yourself, that is game in itself. And women all over the world want you, especially because you're in the top 1% of income earners. Anyhow, like, subscribe, share the video as much as possible because we want to reach as much young men as possible so they know they have options, especially if their relationships are failing or they're not successful in getting relationships. This is a good blueprint to follow. It's simple, it's easy to follow, it will take a few years to do, and any one of you can skip to whichever step that you want to because it's interchangeable. Some of you are older, you already have your own place, your career, and you're financially stable, but you haven't evaluated yourself. You haven't considered going overseas, which is the most efficient way. You didn't imagine you never imagined or thought that you are in the top 1% of income earners in the world. Therefore, you are desirable in the rest of the world, even if you're not as desirable here in the United States. Um, Above all, don't go about bashing the American women. They are hypergamous just like any other woman in the rest of the world. The thing is, like my mother says, they have everything, and there's nothing you can really do to improve their lives. So, it is what it is. Um, Let them try and get a top 20% of income earners here in the United States if they can, or share it. Share those men. It's really not your concern. Your concern is your personal happiness, not fueling their misery or their happiness. Stop doing all the simping. Stay away from DMing these women. Stop going to like OnlyFans and paying for stuff you really don't need. That's money you could invest or use to go get your wife. So, again, like the video, share it. Y'all have a good day.